So in this video, let us study about the intrinsic semiconductor. Before that, semiconductor devices, they are diodes, transistors. They are made up of single crystal semiconductors. So single crystal semiconductor is nothing but your silicon and germanium. In my previous video, I told you about the single crystal semiconductor and the compound crystal semiconductor. Compound crystal semiconductors are gallium arsenide phosphide, gallium nitride. Okay, so these are made up of silicon and germanium. Okay, so now to make this semiconductor devices, first requirement is we have to obtain the semiconductor material that is in the purest form. That is called as intrinsic semiconductor. So pure semiconductor, it is also called as intrinsic semiconductor. This is your pure semiconductor. Okay. So let us study about the crystal structure of semiconductor. Crystal structure of semiconductor. Okay. So crystal structure of semiconductor, atom, when it forms bond with the neighboring atoms, it tries to acquire 8 electrons in its outermost shell or orbit. The outermost shell, it cannot have electrons greater than 8. So the maximum number of electrons in the outermost orbit is 8. So when the atom, when it forms a bond with another atom, it tries to acquire 8 electrons in its outermost orbit, or it is also called as valence orbit. So when it has 8 electrons in the valence or the outermost orbit, that is nothing but it is the filled orbit, right? Completely filled valence orbit. So that time your structure, okay, whatever the structure is there, that becomes stable. That becomes stable when it has completely filled valence or the outermost orbit. So now if I consider silicon or germanium, okay, silicon or germanium, they have 4 valence electrons. 4 valence electrons. Now if I consider silicon, this atom, if it is bonding with the neighboring silicon atom, that means it tries to acquire 4 more electrons. Why? Because it has only 4 valence electrons. So to have its valence orbit completely filled, it requires 4 more electrons. So now what happens? It starts to form the bond with the neighboring atoms, neighboring silicon atoms. Okay. So we will consider that structure here. So I will tell you like why I am writing +4 inside this. You can write +4 or also you can write silicon or germanium, whatever you are considering. Okay, because both have 4 valence electrons. Now I am not writing any inner orbits electrons. I am just writing the valence electrons here. Okay, so this I can call it as core. Okay, and surrounding this core I will write the valence electrons. So you can write +4 or you can also write like silicon, germanium. But now I will write +4 because I am taking in general for both the silicon and the germanium. Okay. So here so these are the silicon or the germanium atoms. Now what happens? These are the valence electrons, right? So I will tell you now why I have written +4 inside the core. For silicon, if I consider, okay, there are 14 protons, 14 electrons. In that 14 electrons, we have 4 valence electrons. So in the inside orbits, you have 10 electrons. And in proton, that is in the nucleus, we have 14 protons. So I am writing the orbiting electrons, okay, orbiting electrons accept the valence electrons and the nucleus as a core here. Okay, I am combining this and I am writing a core here. So number of positive charge, that is a positive, proton is positively charged, right, and electrons is negatively charged. So 14, that is nothing but the positively charged is more than the negatively charged. And what is the difference? 14 minus 10, it is equal to 4. And what is the maximum charge? That is a positive charge. So it is written as plus 4. So I am writing plus 4 inside the core. And surrounding that, I am writing the 4 valence electrons. Now you got to know 10 inside this core and 4 surrounding it, it became 14 electrons. Since the protons are always inside the nucleus, that is already included in the core. Okay, so now what happens? These 4 valence electrons, I said that when it is forming a bond with the neighboring atom, its tendency is to acquire 8 electrons in its in the outermost orbit. Now this is the bond which is forming, okay, with the nearest silicon or the germanium atoms. This is forming with the other. Okay, here again I am writing plus 4, like a 3D structure. Okay, so like if you have a silicon here, one silicon here, one silicon this side, once again here there will be other 4 atoms. So that is a 3D structure, but here we are doing the 2-dimensional representation of this crystal. Okay, so these are the bonds. So this is the 2-dimensional representation. So now see, if I consider this, what happened? It had only 4, but now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now it has 8 electrons in its outermost orbit. Every silicon atom has 8 electrons in its outermost orbit. That means it has completely filled valence orbit. That means this structure is stable, right? So this structure is also called as crystal. This is also called as crystal. This is called as crystal. Okay. So this is a stable structure. Now at absolute zero temperature, okay, at absolute zero temperature, can you find any free electron here? No, because at absolute zero we can see that the valence electrons are tightly bound to its respective nucleus. This is bound to this nucleus, this is bound to this nucleus. So they are respectively, they are bounding to the nucleus. They are tightly bound to the nucleus. So there are no free electrons available here. That is at absolute zero. So at absolute zero, no free electrons are available, means there is no conduction of electricity. So it behaves as a perfect insulator. It behaves as an insulator at absolute zero temperature. Now let us consider the room temperature. Okay, the room temperature is enough. Okay, it is enough to make the valence electron move away from the nucleus, move away from its nucleus. Okay, that is attraction of the nucleus or whatever you say it. So what happens? That means room temperature, it breaks the covalent bonds. That energy, thermal energy, that is enough or sufficient to break the covalent bond. When the covalent bond breaks, what happens? This, I will consider this bond, it's broken now. So what happens? This goes somewhere here. This is my free electron. This is my free electron. And what is this? This is my hole. Okay. So at room temperature, now we can see the free electrons. So if I consider the band diagram, okay, if this is the conduction band and this is the valence band, okay, we have electrons here in the valence band. We have electrons here, but at room temperature, it breaks the covalent bonds. So the electron from valence band, now it moves to the conduction band. But when it moves to this place, what happens? A vacant place is created. So here also see, when this electron moves out of this covalent bond, when it moves away from this nucleus, it becomes free electron. But in that particular place where there was a covalent bond, now what happens? There is a vacant place. and that vacant place is nothing but it is a hole. So here this is a hole. So we can see holes in the valence band. We can see free electrons in the conduction band. So this also I can consider. Okay, this also I can consider. Okay, so for every free electron there is a hole which is created in the valence band. So this hole will be having a positive charge now. Why? Why it is positively charged? Because electron which was in this place, it's a negatively charged. Okay. So now when it leaves the place, obviously what happens? This should be positively charged. It's like when an atom, when it donates an electron, what happens? It becomes positively charged. When it receives an electron, it becomes negatively charged. It's like that. Okay. Now what happens? Electron leaves its place and this vacant place, it gets the positive charged. Okay. So this is your intrinsic semiconductor. Now what happened? I said at absolute zero they behaved as insulator, but now at room temperature the free electron is available and that free electron can be available for the conduction of electricity, right? So at room temperature I had explained you another point that the conductivity of germanium is greater than the conductivity of silicon. It is because of the band gap. Band gap is more in silicon than in germanium. So more number of free electrons can be available in the germanium than in the silicon. Okay. And also I had told you it depends upon this, that is conductivity is directly proportional to e raised to minus Eg divided by kT. Okay. From that we can conclude that conductivity of germanium at room temperature is greater than the conductivity of the silicon. And from this diagram, now I said what happened? The electrons, it moved from valence band to conduction band. So a respective hole was created. That means the electron and hole, they are always created in pairs or generated in pairs. So for every free electron, there will be a hole in the valence band. So number of electrons is equal to number of holes. This is a hole. This is electrons. So that is equal to Ni. So if I consider that is for intrinsic semiconductor, that will be equal to N is equal to P, that is equal to Ni. This is in the case of intrinsic semiconductor. So always it is generated in pairs. This is called as thermal generation. Thermal generation. Okay. And now you see just suppose I have 5 electrons. Just I am telling for the explanation purpose, at valence band there are 5 electrons. Now what happens at room temperature? Okay, if this moves here, I said a hole is created. If this is moved here, then the hole is created. Okay, so now what happens? This electron, okay, it moves. Okay, it moves at a little bit distance, and then what happens? It can come back. It comes back and occupies the hole. If I think like this, it comes and occupies the hole. So then what happens? Once again you are getting back the same structure, right? Once again you are getting back the same structure here. Okay, so this is the generation of electron hole pairs, and then it came back here, that is emitting the energy, thermal energy or light energy it emits. Okay, and then it comes back to the valence band. So this process is called as recombination. The earlier one where the electron hole pair was generated, that was called as generation. This is called as recombination. Okay, generation is a process where the electron hole pair is created. Recombination is that process where the electron hole, they coincide and then they are lost. Okay, so then they are lost. So where is electron hole pair now? It is already recombined, right? Electron recombined with the hole. Now I do not have any electron hole pair. Okay, so this process is called as recombination. remember, when it gets energy, it will go to the conduction band. But when it falls back from the conduction band to valence band, it will release energy. Thermal energy. Okay, you can consider optical energy. So that is in the case of recombination. And remember, recombination rate is equal to generation rate, that is under the thermal equilibrium condition. To keep both the densities constant. You know Np, that is equal to Ni square. Okay, Ni square, that is in the intrinsic semiconductor. So I can say the generation rate and the recombination rate, that will be equal under the thermal equilibrium condition. Okay, under the thermal equilibrium condition. So if two free electrons are created or generated, that means two holes are created. So that's why N is equal to P in case of intrinsic semiconductor. And what happens? This moves little distance and then it recombines with the holes. So the time, okay, the time where this free electron and the hole, okay, they are free, means electron is free, that time is called as lifetime. The time for which the electron is free is called as lifetime of that particular carrier. Okay, so it will be for both the holes and the electrons. So lifetime. And remember another thing, suppose this is an electron. Okay, now what happens? Another covalent bond is broken and another one free electron came here. Okay, so let me consider this as a point A. Now what happens? This electron, it goes to this place. Okay, it goes to, now here, this electron goes to this place. There was a hole. This and electron goes to some other place. So what happens is like movement of holes and movement of electrons, it will be in the opposite direction. That we can see. Okay, in the conduction band and the valence band, what happened? There was an electron and it went into the conduction band, it became a free electron and here a hole is created. And there are many valence electrons, right? From this position what happens? It fills this, okay? Then a hole is created. Then from this position it comes here, then this is created and a hole is created. So what happens? The hole, it is in this direction, but the movement of electron is in this direction. So are you understanding this? The movement of holes, it is in this direction, movement of electron is in this direction. So we can see that there is the movement of electron and holes is in the opposite direction. And we are not concerned with the movement of valence electrons. We are concerned only with the movement of free electrons for the conduction of electricity. So these holes, movement of holes is due to the movement of valence electrons. Valence electrons are moving inside the valence band, because of which the hole is also moving, right? Now electron, it moved from like this. What happened? Your hole is also starting to change its place. So that means it is a movement of holes. Okay, so we are not concerned with the movement of valence electrons. We are concerned with the movement of free electrons. Okay, so next what happens? If I consider the intrinsic semiconductor, if I connect this to a battery, okay, if I connect this to battery, you know, the electrons are negatively charged, so they are attracted by the positive terminal, and holes are positively charged, so they are attracted by the negative terminal. So one thing you remember, the conventional current is always opposite to the flow of the electron current. So if the current IN will be in this direction, conventional current, and this is a positive charge, that is IP. So total current II, conventional current is I, total current I, that is equal to IN plus IP. It is because of both the carriers, that is, it is because of both the electrons and the holes, free electrons and the holes. Okay, so the movement of electrons is like this, movement of holes is like this. Okay, but I am considering the hole current in the same direction because it is positively charged. But only in the case of electrons, I am considering it in the opposite directional because it is a conventional flow of current. And the current which is flowing here is a total conventional current that is equal to, see, both are in the same direction. So I have added this IN plus IP. Okay, so IN plus IP. And this charge carriers, they will be moving in the opposite direction. And the current flow that is due to the application of voltage is called as drift current. And we have another current called as diffusion current. It is because of the difference in the gradient, concentration of the carriers. Means suppose somewhere I will be having higher concentration, I will be having a lower concentration. So from higher concentration to lower concentration, there will be movement of the charge carriers. Because of that, that gives a rise to the diffusion current. And application of voltage, that is the drift current. Okay, that is your drift current. And we also know that the semiconductor, it has negative temperature coefficient of resistance. So because you know at absolute zero, it was behaving as insulator. Means it was not conducting any electricity. But at room temperature, what happened? There were free electrons. Okay, that temperature was sufficient to make the electrons move away from the nucleus. Okay, from the nucleus. Okay, then there were free electrons created. Okay, so what happened? They started conducting here. That is at room temperature. So as temperature increases, our resistivity decreases. That means more and more number of charge carriers or electron hole pairs are created. More and more electron hole pairs are created as temperature increases. Okay, so what happens? Your conductivity also increases. Conductivity increases, resistivity decreases. So it has negative temperature coefficient of resistance. Okay, so this is all about the intrinsic semiconductor. So this is a pure semiconductor. Number of holes is equal to number of electrons. Okay, number of holes is equal to number of electrons. And at thermal equilibrium, recombination rate is equal to generation rate. Okay, so as many electrons are generated, that many holes are created. Okay, so that's why we can say N is equal to P. Recombination rate is equal to generation rate. It has negative temperature coefficient of resistance. We studied about the concept of drift and diffusion current. And conductivity of germanium is greater than conductivity of silicon, that is at the room temperature because of the band gap. Okay, so band gap of silicon is 1.21 electron volt. Band gap of germanium is 0.72 electron volt.